Madison time. Hit it.
Baltimore, 1962. The heyday of hairdos and hair don'ts.
We shall overcome someday.
Not with that hair, you won't.
It began humbly enough. A small movie shot in Baltimore by iconoclastic filmmaker John Waters called Hairspray. It told the story of Tracy Turnblad, a plus-size girl with a big heart who brought integration to a 60s dance show. The movie begat a Tony Award-winning Broadway musical, which then became an A-list movie. And in early 2013, Hairspray came to the concert stage in back-to-back productions by the Indianapolis and Baltimore Symphony Orchestras. It wasn't just any cast. Stars of the Broadway production, along with former pop star Mickey Dolenz, were joined on the stage by the fellow who started it all, John Waters, who served as the show's narrator.
I've seen Hairspray thousands of times from the very beginning of the first table reading. I was in Seattle before we went to Broadway, everything. But I never watched it in the wings, and I certainly never had to wait for my cue. I never thought I'd see the day where I had to wait for my cue to go on stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, the host of my dream dance party in the sky, Mr. Corny Collins.
This latest incarnation of Hairspray was created to commemorate the 25th anniversary of the original movie. Jack Everly, who just so happens to serve as the Pops conductor in both Baltimore and Indianapolis, reworked the score to add lush symphonic textures. He was also tasked with the job of pitching the idea to Waters.
Surprisingly, what he said to me was this: tell me why this is valid in this day and age. I said, the story is a very serious story about a defining moment in the history of our country. And it's going to be even more valid, and it's going to resonate even more because you are going to narrate it. He went, okay, I'll get back to you.
Not only did Waters agree to narrate, but he wrote his own material.
Today we're taking Hairspray in a whole new direction, the symphony orchestra. If it works, maybe someday I can come out and hum Bolero, while old people like me make out in the audience.
The result, a presentation that captures the essence of the Broadway musical with the orchestra sharing the stage with the singers and dancers. Everly reworked the original score by hand, replacing synthesized parts with dozens of extra instruments.
These days, the magnificent Broadway sound that we know from the 40s, 50s, and 60s is diminished because, sadly, finances have entered the picture, and what used to be an orchestra of 30, approximately, is now maybe 12 or 15. It was that case for the Broadway show of Hairspray, but lucky me, I get to work with symphony orchestras, and suddenly we are hearing how it should sound on an even larger scale. That's exciting. We certainly do have costuming, we have the wigs and the makeup, and we have the characterization. So there isn't just people in tuxedos reading from a 3-ring binder. We have all of the other stuff that gives you, with the sound of the musical score, plus these magnificent performers in full costume, it gives you the show.
And for the actors, even those who played the roles on Broadway, this restaging added an exciting twist to their performances.
It was incredible on Broadway, but to hear it live with every single instrument, it's unbelievable. To do it with the symphony orchestra, I was calling them my rock band, because a lot of times it's me on the stage and them blasting me from behind, and it's like the sound that envelops my ears and my body, it's unbelievable. So that is very different, from the Broadway show.
Mickey Dolenz, perhaps best known as the drummer and lead singer for the Monkees, played the role of Wilbur Turnblad for nearly a year in the UK.
I was fascinated by it because I just love the idea of singing in front of a 40-piece orchestra. When you're familiar with all the material, for me it was unlearning a lot of the stuff. I had to, shorten up stuff, speeches, and combine speeches and stuff. That was actually the toughest thing, because I'm so used to saying these lines, for a year, the exact same line.
Penny, go tell your mother she wants you.
I've never been to Indianapolis, and I've never been to Baltimore. And to get to do it with John Waters in both these cities, especially Baltimore, I was like, yes, me want. So we're not doing all the scenes, we're not doing all the dialogue, and we don't have set pieces complete, but we are all in costume. So I'm done up like a pretty lady, And we do some choreography too, which is great. So it's a different animal, but it's fun.
The latest reboot of Hairspray played to boisterous, full houses in both Baltimore and Indianapolis. On stage and off, the actors and the maestro developed a real affection for one another and a desire to take this production to other cities.
He gets us. His work ethic was great. You know, we were all a little nervous because we're Broadway idiots. You know, we're just like, nah, I'm not talking way too much. And we were like, oh, the maestro, we must be on our best behavior for the maestro. But he's played right along with all of us, and he's been great.
We all just fell in love with, well, if you will, each other. It was one big happy family. And given the joy of doing the show and the audience reception, we all loved to do it. So there are talks about that very thing happening.
And John Waters can only wonder with subversive glee where his creation will wind up next.
Well, Hairspray is the gift that keeps on giving. It was the only subversive thing I ever did because Pink Flamingos was maybe preaching to the converted. This play is in every high school in America now, and it's still. Two men are singing a love song to each other, they kiss. It's encouraging your white teenage daughter to date black men in a humorous way, and no one ever objects. So it's a sneak. I got into Mid-America accidentally. It was just a good idea. A fat girl fights for integration. Hey, I accidentally thought up a hit.